I want you to meet two different versions of a person. Let's call her Anna. The first Anna wakes up, and before she's even fully conscious, her hand is fumbling for her phone. She scrolls through emails, the news, a social media feed, a torrent of information that sets a tone of low-grade panic for the day. She showers while mentally rehearsing a meeting, drinks her coffee without tasting it, and commutes to work while listening to a podcast and making a mental grocery list. Her day is a cascade of reactions. A sharp email puts her on edge for an hour. A traffic jam ruins her morning. And by the time she gets home, she's exhausted, snappy with her partner, and can't quite remember what she even did all day. She's living in a state of what psychologists call autopilot, a narrative stream of thoughts about the past and future, with very little awareness of her actual present moment. Now, let's look at the other Anna. She wakes up, and before she gets out of bed, she takes 3 conscious breaths. She notices the weight of her body on the mattress, the feel of the sheets. She hears the birds outside. When she picks up her phone, she does so with intention. I am checking my calendar for today, schedule, rather than being pulled into a vortex. She showers and feels the warmth of the water on her skin. She tastes the bitterness of her coffee, smells its aroma. The same sharp email arrives, but she notices the clench in her jaw and the rush of heat to her face. She takes a breath, labels it. That's frustration, and chooses her response instead of being hijacked by it. This Anna is practicing mindfulness. So, what's the difference? It's not that the second Anna has a magically better life, it's that she has a different relationship with her life. Mindfulness, at its core, is the psychological process of purposely bringing one's attention to experiences occurring in the present moment without judgment. It's a simple idea, but it runs counter to our brain's default mode, which is to constantly time travel, problem solve, and judge. This default mode is so prevalent that neuroscientists have a name for it: the default mode network, DMN. It, as the part of your brain that lights up when you are not focused on a task, when you ruminating about that awkward thing you said yesterday, or anxiously planning for a future presentation. The DMN is the engine of our narrative self, and while it's useful, it's also the primary source of our unhappiness. Mindfulness is the skill that allows us to step out of that relentless narrative and into our direct sensory experience. The most common misconception I hear is that mindfulness is about emptying your mind or stopping your thoughts. Let me be perfectly clear. That is impossible. Your brain's job is to produce thoughts, just as your heart's job is to pump blood. If you try to stop your thoughts, you'll only create more tension and frustration. The point is not to clear the mind, but to change your relationship with its contents. Think of your mind as a clear blue sky. Your thoughts, feelings, and sensations are the weather: clouds, sunshine, rain, thunderstorms. The autopilot, Anna, is stuck in the storm, believing she is the rain. The mindful Anna has learned to be the sky, vast, spacious, and able to hold all the weather patterns without being destroyed by them. She can observe a storm cloud of anxiety pass through without being swept away by it. So, how do we cultivate this? We start with what I call formal and informal practice. The formal practice is like going to the gym for your attention muscle. The informal practice is using that muscle throughout your day. Let's begin with the formal. Meditation. You don't need a cushion, incense, or hours of silence. You need 5 minutes in a chair. Sit comfortably. Feel your feet on the floor, your body supported. Bring your attention to the physical sensation of your breath. You don't need to control it or make it special. Just feel the air moving in and out. Your mind will wander. This is not a failure, it is the entire point of the practice. The moment you notice your mind has been hijacked by a thought about your to-do list, you have achieved a moment of mindfulness. That moment of noticing is a bicep curl for your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive function, and metacognition, which is just a fancy word for thinking about your thinking. Gently, without any self-criticism, guide your attention back to the breath. Every time you do this, you are strengthening your ability to choose your focus rather than being a slave to your impulses. Now for the informal practice, which is where these techniques truly come alive in your daily life. This is about turning mundane activities into opportunities for presence. Let's take that morning coffee. Instead of gulping it down while multitasking, try this. For just the first 3 sips, engage all your senses. Look at the color of the coffee. Smell the rich, complex aroma. Feel the warmth of the mug in your hands. And when you taste it, really taste it. Notice the bitterness, the texture, the temperature. Your mind will wander, of course. That's okay. Just guide it back to the sensory experience of drinking coffee. You're not just consuming a caffeine delivery system. You are having a rich, embodied experience. This is what we call anchoring, using a sensory cue, like the taste of coffee, to tether you to the present. Another powerful informal technique is what I call the noting practice. Throughout your day, especially during moments of transition, walking to your car, waiting for an elevator, sitting down at your desk, pause for just 10 seconds and note 3 things you can sense. It could be anything: the pressure of your back against the chair, the sound of a distant siren, the sight of a crack in the ceiling. This isn't about having a profound experience. It's about performing a cognitive reset. It pulls you out of the abstract world of your thoughts and into the concrete, tangible reality of the here and now. This practice leverages a fundamental principle of neuroplasticity. Your brain strengthens the neural pathways you use most often. By repeatedly pulling your attention to the present, you are literally rewiring your brain to be less prone to autopilot. Let's apply this to a difficult emotion, like anxiety before a big meeting. The autopilot response is to get caught in the story. I'm going to fail. What if they ask me a question I can't answer? This could ruin my career. The anxiety feeds on itself, creating a feedback loop that can spiral into panic. The mindful approach is to drop out of the story and into the sensation. When you feel that anxiety rise, pause. Take 1 breath, then, with gentle curiosity, ask, where do I feel this in my body? Maybe it's a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, a buzzing in your hands. Don't try to make it go away. Just observe it. Is it hot or cold? Is it vibrating or still? Does it have a shape? This act of somatic tracking, turning towards the bodily sensation, does 2 things. First, it grounds you. Anxiety is almost always future-tripping. The body is always in the present. Second, it changes your relationship with the emotion. You're no longer anxious, Anna. You are Anna who is experiencing a sensation of tightness and a thought about the future. You create a space between you and the emotion, and in that space lies your freedom to choose your response. This non-judgmental stance is the most challenging yet transformative part of the practice. We are conditioned to label our experiences as good or bad. A pleasant feeling arises and we cling to it. An unpleasant feeling arises and we push it away. This is known in psychology as experiential avoidance, and it's a primary driver of suffering. Mindfulness invites us to adopt the stance of a curious scientist, observing our inner world with neutrality. A thought is just a thought. A sensation is just a sensation. It doesn't define you, and it isn't a command you must obey. When you can sit with the physical discomfort of sadness without buying into the story that my life is terrible, the emotion loses its destructive power. It becomes a wave that rises, peaks, and naturally dissipates, because all mental states are, by their nature, temporary. Ultimately, mindfulness is not a tool for achieving perpetual bliss. It is a fundamental shift in the way you inhabit your own life. It's about reclaiming the moments that autopilot steals from you. It's about tasting your food, truly hearing your loved ones, and feeling the sun on your skin. It's about responding to life's challenges from a place of centered awareness, rather than reactive panic. The goal is not to become a perfectly calm, unflappable Zen master. The goal is to become more fully, vibrantly, and compassionately human. To move from being lost in the story of your life to being present for the living of it. And it all starts with a single conscious breath.